All right, we're back. God, I miss talking about basketball. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited because we have an amazing guest today. Somebody I've been wanting to get on, actually, basically since the start of the college basketball season, the incomparable, multi-talented Zora Stephenson. She's called some of your favorite moments in women's college basketball on Peacock for NBC Sports. She is one half of the Got Next podcast with Megan and Zora, which I've really been enjoying all season long. And today, we're lucky because she's with us. How's it going, Zora?
Well, that was a very kind, and I don't know if I deserve that intro. So thank you so much. Happy to chat hoops, right? What better way to start the year? We were just talking about, resolutions and lack thereof. And some teams are actually living up to what they've been wanting to do. So it's a great time for women's basketball. Excited to get into it.
Yeah, some teams need resolutions, some teams don't. Some people do. I'm not a resolutions person. It's a little bit too much pressure at the top of the year. We got to ease into it. You're getting out of the holiday itis, and then you're also trying to be a brand new person. I don't like any of that. I'm not trying to do any of that.
Just an evolving person.
Yeah.
An evolving person, not a brand new person.
Exactly. 1% better. 1% better. That's all we can do. That's all anybody can do. But we had a great slate of weekend hoops. And, it started this conversation because two things happened simultaneously. First off, Paige Bueckers had to leave the game against Villanova, I believe it was. Because she had a pretty tough knee injury. She collided with a player. It kind of looked like maybe there was a hyperextension. Then she is on the bench afterwards. And every time they go to her, she is increasingly sadder and increasingly there's more ice on her leg. It starts with the knee, then it goes to the foot. We have heard since from Gina Oriamba that it probably shouldn't be too big of a deal, but I did feel for her because we know how hard she has worked to come back. And we don't talk about this a lot, but our bodies betray us sometimes, there's just sometimes the scope of our ambitions, our bodies can't always meet them. We obviously hope that's not the case for Paige, but it sucked. And I think that's probably why she was so sad to work so hard, coming back off an injury. And then to even just have the scare of something potentially happening again, that sucks. But it looks like she's going to be okay, but it has, dredged up this conversation about whether Paige should be the number one pick, because on the other side of that, Olivia Miles is having an incredible season. And I see you tilting your head there. So I'm kind of with you. I'm not ready to I think I got to the place where we can have the conversation. I'm not ready to flip the pick by any means, but I think I'm feeling like we can have the conversation. How are you feeling?
Yeah. Well, first off, you just feel for Paige. I think it's, I'm not her and I'm not in her emotions, but what I felt in that moment, seeing her collide was can't catch a break. Right. And so that's super frustrating as a hooper, as an athlete, as a human. I don't want us talking about potential other first picks because, she went down. I think we could have had this conversation before Paige collided with the Villanova player. So I just wanted to preface that because it's not fair just because, she got hurt. Now, can we have the conversation? Is it a fair conversation? Yes, I do think it is a fair conversation. Where it gets tricky is Dallas, who has the number one pick in the WNBA draft 2025. Are they going for best available, or are they going for who they feel like could fit their system? And remember, this is a team that's going to have a new system because they just got a new head coach, right? And so that's where I'm like, I don't know. It depends what the organization feels that they want and need. And Olivia and Paige are two high-level players, but they're different players too. And even when even before we started the conversation of, okay, could Olivia come into the picture for number one? At one point, it was just Paige. And when I saw Dallas got the number one pick, I was like, okay, so how's it going to work with Paige, Enrique, and JC Sheldon, a lot of primary ball handlers, and, you make it work when you've got just great players. But I mean, their stats are both great, right? I mean, obviously, to me, Notre Dame is doing better than UConn, but obviously, both top teams in the country. Paige averages 20 points per game, 40% from three, 4 assists. Olivia Miles, 17 points per game, 48% from a 3-point line, which is a huge increase for her. and she's still dropping 7 dimes. And what you're seeing from Olivia is how she plays with another primary ball handler in Hannah Hidalgo, which brings me to my point of, okay, well, you have Arike and you have JC Sheldon, you have other, ball handlers in Dallas. Olivia has proven that she can pivot and mold her game to the talent around her. Does that garner, moving past Paige? I don't know. I'm not a GM. I don't know. It all depends, what they want. But I definitely think it's a fair conversation to have.
I love some of these stats that you brought up and just your larger overall point. But yeah, let's talk about the 47%. First of all, they're both incredibly efficient. Paige, 19-4-4 on 56, 40, and 80. Like there's just, and that's the thing with Paige. She's kind of a perfect player. Like that's the beauty of Paige is she's kind of flawless. And I think that's also kind of the flaw of Paige it's in some moments too. And then with Olivia, 55, 47, 76. That's just incredible as well. Like you can't really go wrong with either of these guys.
Yep.
But that 47 is incredible. And just her ability to go from being basically a non-shooter, somebody who that was the biggest question with her, especially as it pertains to her draft status. Is she going to be somebody who can space the floor? She opens a game against UNC with like a really like a quick relocate spot up jumper that I think she got from Hannah Hidalgo. And there's just no hesitation on that. The confidence with what she's shooting. And then she just spends the rest of the game pulling up in everybody's face, like just like using all of these hesitations, like this sort of like the fun thing with Olivia is just she's so unpredictable. And now that she's able to use all of that skill set to also then go create a 3-point shot is incredible. And so I want to pull up some stats from Hunter Cruz, who is a friend of the show. She's shooting 51% on catch and shoot threes this season, 43% on pull up threes, 43% on pull up twos, 70% at the rim this season. We know she's a great finisher. She had, like what should have been immediately the game-winning shot, if not for a really bad foul call. What game was that? What game was that again, man? Against Texas.
Was it Texas?
Against Texas, yeah, against Texas, where she had that incredible finish in the lane. She's just so good at the rim. She's so tricky. She's creative. She's shifty. But now she's able to take that creativity that she's already had, like in the pick and roll, as one of the best passers. And now you got to go over her screens. You're screwed. There's just nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. Like you just have to hope she has a bad night. So it's just her shooting improvement overall and the way that that's going to impact her overall game. It's just, it makes it so I think you have to start to have the conversation to bring it back to Paige. Another stat from Hunter as well. Olivia has made more pull-up threes this season than Paige has in 53 games over the last 2 seasons. So in 15 games versus 53. And it kind of speaks to the Paige aspect of this, right? Where as much as we talk about, okay, who's going to be the player who can like fit alongside all of these ball handlers, I actually think Olivia and Paige both won't have a problem with that. I think they're both going to be great on and off the ball. But it is something, I think aggression overall is something that Paige is working on. And I think it's something that Olivia, even though she does play alongside Hidalgo, Sonia Citron, it just hasn't really been an issue for her this season.
Yeah. So the one when you brought up the, I believe it was I don't know if it was catch and shoot between Paige and Olivia. One of the 3-point stats, what came to my mind was that Paige is in a different role than Olivia. And so it's hard to like put both stats side by side and say who's doing, because Paige has to direct traffic. She's got to be a vocal leader. She's got to make sure everybody's in their place. Then at times, they need a bucket. They go to her. She's got to be a lot for this UConn team where, in my opinion, I feel like Notre Dame is more well-balanced in terms of their starting 5, at least. They're not super deep, but in that starting 5, it's more balanced. You can, Hannah can bring it up. Olivia can bring it up. Sonia Citron at times, has had to be the primary ball handler. If you go back a couple seasons with some of the injuries that they've had. So, Olivia doesn't have the same burden that Paige has in terms of her role. And I think that does allow a player to, be more free out there on the floor. But it's a great topic. I think Paige is still going number 1.
Yeah, I feel like she will. Yeah.
I just do. And you think about the history of it all, and what she's been able to do throughout her career. And they both have battled adversity, right? So they've both shown that they can come back from major things. I still think Paige is going number one, but I don't know if at the start of this season we would have had Olivia Miles even in the conversation for 2 or 3, right? Like, so I think we would have been talking about Kiki Iriafen from USC if we were talking about no college games have been played and you just want to go who's won 2. So that goes to show you just how important it is for these games to be played. But I still feel like Paige is probably going to go number one, but we'll see.